all I'm going to say is you'd have to put him down as a legend. And he acted like he didn't know me in the lift. And I remember the first couple of times I got it and gave it away, and I could hear the gruntles from people giving it, come on, D, keep the ball. And it was like, oh my goodness, like, what am I going to do now?
Benny, I want to move on and talk about your England career. 13 caps, 4 goals. And you've done it the right way, right? You came through all the youth teams, under 15, under 16, under 19, under 21. And then obviously you got your call up to the England squad. Talk to us about that process of getting a call up. What happens to us near mortals? How does it work?
So basically, so obviously, as you said there, I came up through all the levels. And I was playing in the under-21s when I was at Ipswich Town. Now, I was obviously smashing goals at Ipswich Town. But I was going away with the under-21s and wasn't starting. I'd come on, score, next game wouldn't start. Because
Wait, who was starting?
So yeah, in front of me at the time would have been like, people like John Stead might have started, Colton Cole, Zamora. But there was kind of politics involved because, and I think it's a little bit the same now, even though I was playing every week in the first team in the Champ, or the old Division 1, even if you were in the reserves at a first team in the Premier League, they were getting preferential treatment. Because I remember going to the manager at the time, Peter Taylor, and saying, like, Pete, why am I not playing? Like, I play every week on the Saturday in the league, score every time I come, and I still don't start. And he's like, listen, like, Darren, my hands are tied. Like, obviously people have got to get game time. And I think that still happens now. So anyway, I make the move from Ipswich to Charlton. And my first ever game in the Prem for Charlton, I scored 2 on my debut. And the under-21 squad gets announced. And I see I'm not in it. So I think I've been in every squad in the last 2 seasons in Division 1.
Politics.
My first one's in the Premier League, and I'm not in the 21s. I said, nah. So I phoned up the secretary, I think her name was Lindsay. I said, like, Lindsay, why am I not in the squad? She's like, oh, like, I think Sven liked what he saw today. I think you're with the big boys. I went, yeah, good one. She went, yeah, I think so. I went, all right. Anyway, now, about an hour later, I get a text on my phone, and that's how it still is now. Because I asked a question, I asked someone, is it still the same? It was like, you have been selected for the England national team for back-to-back games against, I don't know.
One of those random premium rate numbers?
No, it was like a mobile number, but it was like a long text, like, oh, you've been selected back-to-back against Denmark and somebody else. Please bring with you and all what you need. So I looked at the number and I thought, nah, someone's on a wind up here. Like, so I then called that number. I went, and it was Michelle. And she was like, hi, Darren, you're right. I was like, hi, I've got a text from this number about an England call up. She was like, oh, yeah, it's me. I'm Michelle. I'm the head of, I can't remember what her title was. But yeah, you have been selected. It's not a wind up. Like, congratulations. And it happened pretty much as quick as that, to be fair. So then obviously I was calling my mum, my dad.
Yeah, describe that feeling. Describe the feeling. What was the feeling like?
It was a bit surreal because obviously I've made my debut for Charlton, scored 2 on my debut. I'm on the plane on the way back. I land, I get the text, and it's all just like, obviously I'm buzzing because I've just scored 2. Like, I'm obviously on cloud 9. I get the text through. I'm like, what's going on here? And honestly, I was just like, Mum, Dad, like, you're never gonna believe this. And they went, what? I'm in the squad. And they were like, well, what squad? I went, the England squad. And they were like, what, the 21s? I was like, no, like the senior. And it was just from there, it was just delight. Like, obviously I went over to Denmark. My mum and dad flew over to Denmark as well. So, I mean, I didn't get on, but just to be in that presence of some of them players, because
stop. That's what I wanted. That's what we want to know. Like, who are the big boys around there? Because we had Gabby a few weeks ago, and he was talking about the likes of Gerrard, Lampard, Beckham, like big players that he's kind of like, whoa, this is scary level. Who were like the big boys around then?
Well, that was the thing, because we had to meet at Sopwell House before. This was obviously before St George's Park was built. Yeah. And we had to meet at 12 o'clock midday. So I was like, nah, you know what? I ain't taking no chances. So I got there at like 10 o'clock in the morning because I thought I ain't going to be late. So I've gone to reception. Michelle's there, and obviously all your keys are laid out with your numbers on it. I get mine. I walk to the lift. I press the button. Beckham walks around the corner. I'm like, oh, like, I'm like, he's like, oh, Darren, how you doing? You're right. Like, congratulations. I saw you 2 goals yesterday. Brilliant. You thoroughly deserve to be here.
Where was Bex at the time? Madrid?
He would have been at Madrid, wouldn't he? Yeah.
Honestly, that means he was Bex.
Yeah. The confidence that gave me, the fact that he was like, I saw you 2 goals yesterday. You thoroughly deserve to be here. Make sure you enjoy it. Great bunch of lads. Honestly, again, he must have been looking at me thinking, why is this guy looking at me like this? Like, I was just like, yeah, I will do. So that he was the very first person I met. And then the next probably surreal kind of experience was like, I went upstairs to my room, stayed in my room, and we had lunch at 12:30 or 1:45. So obviously I was chatting to Defoe because I'd known Defoe for years. Like, so he was obviously just talking about the squad. And I came down for lunch, and that's when it kind of really hits you, because everyone's sitting around this table and you're looking about and you're just seeing like Beckham, Rio, Lampard, Gerrard, Rooney, all these guys, and just thinking, like, obviously Man United, Chelsea, obviously Manchester City weren't the Manchester City that we see now. But obviously Liverpool, real, and you're just thinking, oh my goodness, like what? But all the lads were so cool, and that was what really surprised me, is that like, DA doing, you're right, like I've known them years, cracking jokes. It was honestly one unbelievable experience.
I find it so interesting hearing that, because when I was involved with the England squad in the World Cup in 2018, when I would come into the canteen and see the players, it didn't feel like there was like a hierarchy with that squad. It didn't feel like players were coming in going, oh, there's Sterling or there's Kane. It felt like everyone just thought maybe they were kind of on the same level. It felt like back then it did feel like there was some sort of hierarchy. Like you had Gerrard and Lampard and these guys, and then you had everyone else. It's weird.
Do you know what it is? Is because, and you're right there, Mitch, because you're right. With that 2018 squad, they looked like they were all kind of friends and that. But I was obviously in a time where the big four was the big four. So it was like Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, and
don't forget Liverpool. Don't try
Liverpool.
Yeah,
they were the four.
Don't try and miss Liverpool. Don't you dare.
It was them four, and it was virtually impossible. Everyone else was playing for fifth. Them four
spots. Yeah, I remember.
It was them four. So when you walked in, you saw them players. And obviously, I'm at Charlton. Do you know what I mean? So I'm looking at these guys thinking, these guys are on like a different planet. It was just such a kind of surreal feeling. But then the way they were kind of all down to earth, laughing and joking, cracking jokes, talking about things that obviously I can't talk about on here. It was them type of experiences where it kind of made me think, okay, like they are kind of like grounded. Do you know what I mean? Because you expect them, when someone's on that type of level, you expect them to not really want to talk to anyone, want to keep themselves to themselves. But honestly, it was just like a bunch of friends just hanging out, talking about everything. It was honestly unbelievable experience.
What was training like with the likes of Rooney, Gerrard? Did you go there thinking, oh, this is a bit much, or no, I belong on this level?
Well, first of all, like, so we're going to training now, and it's me and Luke Young. Do you remember Luke?
Former Spurs, of course.
Yeah.
So it was me and him that got called up, and I remember him talking to me, because he'd been in a couple of squads before, and he said to me, like, D, I'm telling you now, you have not experienced anything like this before. And what do you mean? He went, you wait till you see the standard of training. So I went, all right, we'll see. So I'm going there now. I'm going there now. We're doing the warm-ups, and then we get into like possession. Oh my goodness, this is what he was talking about. The ball moved around so quickly, and it was one of them though that you were, because this, you're talking about prime Rio, prime Gerrard, Lampard, Joe Cole, Scott Parker. Like, these guys are prime, right? So it was one of them where if I was that nervous for that particular possession session, because if I gave the ball away, we couldn't get it back. If either team gave the ball away, you can't get it back, because it's just ping, 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 ping. And I remember the first couple of times I got it and gave it away, and I could hear the gruntles from people giving it, come on, D, keep the ball. And it was like, oh my goodness, like, what am I going to do?
Honestly, the pressure.
I would like the ground to swallow me there.
Honestly, so it got to the point where I would just run around trying to keep away from the ball for the first like 10, 15 minutes, man. If the ball went left, I'd run away, or I'd quickly pop it off, one touch, and then just get out of there, man, because it was honestly...
No, Benny, don't they clock that? Don't they like realize that you're kind of then shying away and not trying to get the ball?
No, because honestly, the way these guys are just like zipping the ball.
They're ball hungry as well. They want the ball.
Exactly. I'm thinking, and like people like Rooney and Gerrard, these men were so comfortable in possession. It was just like, so that first part of the training, I was like, nah. But then the only thing that kind of bailed me out of that training session was that after we did possession, we did finishing session shooting. Now, obviously, I'm back. I know in myself. Like,
yeah.
So I could remember.
Up your street. This is your avenue.
This is what I can show them now. This is why I'm in the squad.
Yeah.
So like we did a competition, and I think my first 8 shots, first 8 goals, bang, bang, bang. And I remember Youngie going, all right. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, all right, this is why. And I remember Rio going like, okay, like, do you know what I mean? So that kind of abolished that what had gone on beforehand.
Yeah.
So it ended up being a really good training session. But I just remember the next day, I remember the night before getting my flu. I was preparing for training like I was preparing for a game, because the standard of these guys, this is why these guys are the elite. Simple things that look so simple, they just bang, bang, bang. So I'll make sure I've got enough sleep. I've got my fuels on board for breakfast. So when I went out to training, I was prepared, man, because boy, I didn't want that to happen again.
Jesus. Tell us the difference between Sven and Fabio Capello. Obviously, everyone looks at those as two completely different types of managers. Fabio looks like the kind of manager that you can't approach, right? Very strict, almost like a head teacher. Sven seems a bit more approachable. Is that what it was like, really, or is that just from the outside looking in?
No, you're right. I mean, Sven was very much more of a man manager in terms of, I think in times he was probably too relaxed, probably give players too much leeway. And Capello was too much the other way. At first, he was too much like a bit of a tyrant in terms of, even if you wanted to come down and get a snack from the canteen, you couldn't wear shorts. You had to wear the full tracksuit. Like if you got caught on your phone, oh my goodness, he would lose the plot. And even like, I remember this one particular training session.
Wait, hold on your phone.
If
Did you have like Nokias back then?
Yeah. The bananas. The
there
banana
was no
phone.
Instagram. There was no Instagram or social media back then.
But like obviously, if you bring your phone there, you're on your phone. BlackBerry. It was obviously the BlackBerry. BBM. So honestly, it was one of them where I can remember that like it was yesterday. I remember Emil Heskey's phone going off and him absolutely losing it in the canteen. And then I remember even we was out of training one day, and we just finished the session. It was hard, and Joe Cole sat on the ball, like resting. Capello come and kicked the ball, man, and he went ballistic, man. Like he started questioning the English mentality, saying, "This is why English, you never win anything. Look at your mentality, sitting on the ball." He went absolutely mad.
He kicked the ball from under him while he was sitting on it.
Under while he was sitting on it.
So Joe Cole fell down.
Just like, whoa, like, do you know what I mean? Like, what is going on? Like, honestly, so he was mad. I mean, he was mad. Right. But after the 2010 World Cup, where it didn't go well, he relaxed. Like, I'm talking about like the food changed. He was a bit more like kind of stringent on the food. Then he allowed more things to kind of go on. He allowed people to be more relaxed around the building in terms of wearing shorts. Because I think he understood, because that 2010 was a disaster. It was awful. I think that was the World Cup. We got battered by Germany.
Yeah.
I know the Lampard just didn't go very well. And he kind of relaxed a little bit.
I remember hearing the story. I heard a little bit, snippets of it, of when you got into England, and there was a story about you in the lift with a high-profile footballer for England. Do you remember that story?
I do remember it, yeah, and that's probably why. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say his name.
Yeah.
No one would say you'd have to put him down as a legend, right?
Okay.
But yeah, it was one of them where like a lot of the guys at England were really like good guys, man. Like, but this one particular guy was just like, I've not really got a lot of kind words for him because obviously I'm nervous, and he acted like he didn't know me in the lift. Now, I'd seen him and he said hello, and then the next time I saw him, just completely ignored me.
One second. How big is this lift? Are we talking like normal size, standard lift?
Even if it was a talkSPORT size lift, that's still big enough to go,
all right, mate.
How you doing? You're right. But to completely ignore me, I thought, all right, like, do you know what I mean? But even the way sometimes in training where I'd make a mistake, the way I see him looking at me sometimes, like I've not got too many fun words. And I always remember talking to someone about this, and someone else, Jolien Lescott, I can give you his name, Jolien Lescott, me and him had the conversation about it, and he said that he was the exact same way with him. So I knew it weren't just me.
Okay.
Quickly, Benty, obviously, look, you got your 13 caps and you're always in the squads in the lead up to Euros and World Cups, but never made a Euro or a World Cup, standby squads, etc. Like, looking back, how frustrating was that? And is it politics? Were you just unlucky in and around the time, like you say, with Rooney around and Defoe coming through as well, who missed a couple of squads himself, which is just too much squad depth? How do you kind of sum it all up?
Well, it's a kind of a mad one. I mean, competition was good. So I was always, I mean, do you know what? It's going to be a little bit like Patrick Bamford this season. And I relate to that, like, because that was me. If you look at the 2005-06 season, where the only people that beat me for goals that season were Van Nistelrooy and Thierry Henry, and I don't go to that World Cup, that's the one where Theo went.
Wow. When you think of that now, wow.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So there was that. And then even in the 2010 World Cup, where I scored 25 and don't go, it was just, was there a little bit of politics involved? Yeah, 100%. Of course there is. And I guess the same thing is kind of happening now, because Bamford has got, 16 goals, 17 goals this season, which is unbelievable. But he's not, unfortunately, he's probably not going to go to the major tournament now. I was always kind of under the assumption that that if you're in form and you've performed the best in that season, your rewards at the end of that season is that you go to a major tournament, or do you know what I mean? You represent your country because you've been one of the best players that season. Now you're talking about me there scoring 40 goals in them 2 seasons, and I'm not going to the tournament. It's like
harsh.
It's harsh. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely harsh. Yeah.
The first one was harder because I didn't go, scored a lot of goals that season. Defoe didn't go, scored.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But Theo went. Now listen, I've got nothing against Theo. He turned out to be a top player, but at that time he hadn't played any Premier League football.
That was insane. I remember that. That was crazy.
So I just couldn't understand what was going on. And then the 2010 one, because it happened to me in 2006, I went, you know what? It is what it is, man. All I know is to myself was I could look myself in the mirror and go, well, you know what, D? Like, you didn't kind of shy away. You did everything you could have done. You hit 22 goals the first time. You hit 25 and you still didn't go. There's not really a lot more I could have done.
You know, when you see players, I'll quickly end on this one. You know, when you see players now switching allegiances, like a lot of players are going to sort of where their fathers came from, whether it be in Africa or the Caribbean. If that was available then, would you have done that?
It was kind of tough because I pretty much got into the England squad the moment I started playing. I had obviously a touch of Premier League football at Ipswich when we had some good times in the Premier League. But my first full time in the Premier League, I played 1 game. I get myself in the squad. Yeah. I didn't really have time. If I'd have got to maybe 24, 25 and still no caps are in sight and I was doing well, then obviously my family heritage, my dad's side of the family, Jamaica, and my mum's side is Barbados. So for sure, I would have looked at representing the country, because I think 24, 25, and you're doing well, but still no. Like Michail Antonio, I'll take him for an example. Will he play for England? I don't know. But has his form been good enough over the last couple of seasons to at least get 1 cup? Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Do you know what I mean? So it wouldn't surprise me if he said, you know what? Like, why am I wasting my time waiting for something that isn't going to happen? So you're probably right, Ade. I probably would have looked at it to maybe switch alliances if the cap hadn't come like between 24, 25.
Benty, I've enjoyed that. Benty, thank you very much. Mitchie, as always, my man, thank you very much.
Pleasure.